Good morning and welcome back to the Humble Pie Cookery Kitchen. We've got to the end of our third week, can't believe it. And we're already at Easter and ready to make hot cross buns. Now Mary Berry, I was shocked this week and she said it was better to buy supermarket ones because it definitely is not. It isn't. You just don't get the smell when they come out of the oven. You don't get that gorgeous, rich, pillowy texture. Anyway, let's get on and make them. So I've got in here 450 grams or a pound of strong white bread flour, and I know it's like gold. Hopefully you've managed to get some. And I'm putting into that 1 sachet of dried yeast, a little bit of salt, and I've missed that out of the recipe actually, sorry. You need about a teaspoon of salt in there. You do need salt in bread, even though you are adding sugar, because this is a sweet bread. And I said to you before, when we made our bread last week, that you need flour, fat, yeast and some sort of liquid obviously to make bread, and this is just the same except you're adding extras, making it even more delicious. So I've got sugar, salt, yeast in there. I need the fat obviously, and that in this case is butter. Last time we used oil, and you want a couple of ounces really, maximum an ounce to an ounce and a half, somewhere thereabouts, just to give it that richness. And then an egg. Then I'm going to get my spoon in there. Now we're going to add the fruit later. So if you added it now, you would pulverise all the fruit as you need the yeast. So I'm just going to put my scales over there because I don't need them. And I'm just going to start to mix that round and then add the milk. And I'm using whole milk. Oh, I haven't put my spice in. I need a teaspoon of spice, and that just gives nice little extra flavour. So I'll mix that round and start to get that butter in, but it'll all go in together as you need it. And you're going to have a good old workout again. Whether you've been doing your Joe Wicks workouts, I would imagine so. And this is lukewarm, hand hot milk, and you need about half a pint. So keep stirring that in. You want a soft but not sticky dough. So keep stirring that round, and I'll put all that in because I'm sure I'm going to need it. I might regret that. However, we will see. You always add a bit more flour. Yeah, no, it's coming together nicely. You add it a bit at a time really, I've just sinned. And then as we start to knead that butter will all go into the dough. Now I think actually that might need a tiny bit more, but that's starting to mix, so I'm going to put that onto the work surface to get a nice handful of flour. And if you're short of soft white bread flour, for this bit just use plain, don't waste your flour. Keep your bowl on the side because we're going to need it. I'll pop that over there. We're going to pop the dough in at the end. Right, that's sticky. But as we mix it round and start to knead it, it'll come together well. So, I've got my hands sticky there. Now, I said to you before, if you put a bit of flour on your hands, anything stuck to your hands will go off. Obviously, make sure you've got nice clean hands before you start. I should have said that. I've got a bowl here, because it can get a bit sticky. Right, so I'm mixing that round, and as I say, I haven't added my fruit at this stage. I'm just going to keep on. The same principle as before. I'm just at this stage just mixing it rather than kneading it. So that's starting to just mix in together. That's just the right amount of liquid. And then as you start to get it all together, at this stage it feels quite bitty, and you're aiming for a lovely smooth elastic dough. There's a little bit more flour on there. Just keep adding the flour. The kids will love doing this. It's just, I had some really good photos, even yesterday photos of bread making coming through, which is great. And then as you start to knead it, you're pulling it back with your fingers and pressing it down with the heel of your hand. Mine's still nice and sticky, which is a good thing, you know, that's fine. You don't want a really dry dough, but you do need to keep nipping in your flour, pulling it round, and then you could just keep doing this, and you're going to leave it somewhere warm. Now you can, when I made these at the shop, we made dozens of hot cross buns. And actually somebody from Betty's came in once and said they were better than Betty's, so there we go. But we made dozens of hot cross buns. And sometimes I would make sort of half the dough, maybe make 6 or 7 batches the night before, and then leave them in the fridge overnight, and then bring them out in the morning, ready to go in the oven uncooked. And the dough going in the fridge just stops the rising process. So you can make them in advance, and you just bring it back up to room temperature, pop them in the oven in the normal way. So it doesn't matter how long it takes to rise, but you don't want to do it too quickly, because if you do it too hot, it'll just rise up, and I think I've said before, your yeast overworks and you're kind of killing it really. It goes over too quickly. Now this is starting to get sticky, starting to get smooth, I mean. So at this stage, I would add my fruit. So make a sort of well in the corner. Now in here, I've got a mixture of raisins, sultanas, currants, and just about a dessert spoonful of peel. I don't really like peel, but I do in hot cross buns. It just has an extra flavour, I don't know. Add a little bit, well, sort of about a third of it, and start to mix it in. Put it in the middle, start to mix it in. As I say, if you put it in right at the start, you'll just pulverise it all. So you're just mixing around, carry on kneading. Your fruit's starting to distribute, and then put the next batch in. This is still quite sticky. Just keep adding flour. Put some more fruit in, and then just bring it over the top in the same way. Now, if you didn't want the hassle of making these into hot cross buns, then you could just divide this in two and put it into 2 1-pound loaf tins, and it'll make 2 beautiful tea loaves effectively. Very rich dough. But they would be just as tasty, maybe not so exciting to make. So when you come back, so I'm just doing this, and then we'll come back in an hour, about an hour and a half maybe, and make the hot cross buns. You'll need a piping bag, and I have got some piping bags which I can leave on the windowsill if anybody is in Hawes and having their little daily walk or coming down to the shops. You'll need a piping bag. You need just flour and water to make a paste, and that's what you use to pipe your crosses on. If you haven't got a piping bag, I use the disposable ones, but if you haven't got one, you can always use the corner of a little freezer bag, you know, a food bag, that's the word I'm looking for, and just pipe it into the corner, just snip the corner, and do it that way. Now then, I've got a nice elastic dough. When we started, as I said, it was still quite grainy and bitty. This is smooth and elastic, and that will be fine. So I'm going to pop that back in the bowl that I used to mix it in. It's nice and smooth, fruit evenly distributed. I'm going to get a clean tea towel, pop that over the top, and I'm going to leave it on the side for about an hour and a quarter, till it's grown to twice the size. And I'll see you back here, and we'll make them into buns.